Many thanks to Job, DayZ Podcast, Taggy's Tag West, Pandemonium, and Lion Lost for making this video possible. The addition of the many different explosives in the new DayZ patch will certainly change how raiding bases works forever, so in this video we're going to be breaking down exactly how the new explosives work in 1.18 to see just how destructive they truly are. To compare the effectiveness of the new explosive types in DayZ in this patch, we must first get a baseline of what has carried over from previous patches, and to cut a long story short here, to not waste your time, pretty much everything is the same as in the last patch. For example, the M4 would destroy the wooden panel in 180 rounds and the Vega in roughly 70 buckshot shells, and the two types of grenade will take 5 grenades each to breach a wall, and that's a complete breach, so you'll be able to enter somebody's base with 5 grenades, where the flashbangs, like in the last patch, do very little damage to a wall. Basically, nothing has changed when it comes to bases and how much damage base walls can absorb before becoming completely destroyed. Now that we have a baseline, let's test a new grenade launcher against some walls. First though, I want to say that when attempting to destroy a wooden wall in DayZ with a grenade launcher, or any type of object in fact, I'd recommend staying far back with this weapon, as the explosive ammo type it uses has no minimum safe distance before it's triggered or activated, so you can kill yourself with it very easily, which I'm sure many players will. That said, it would take 5 explosive rounds to breach a wall, much like regular grenades. You can do it from a distance with a grenade launcher though, but you can also throw grenades. Unlike grenades though, if you ruin the explosive ammo type for the grenade launcher, it will not explode. They'll become ruined and they'll become black for some reason. But you can ruin regular grenades with it to make regular grenades explode for a surprise base raid. Like regular grenades, the explosive ammo will kill players up to around 12 meters away. Basically, this ammo type is a projectile of the American grenade we already have in the game, so it just explodes on impact instead. It even fits into the vest slot like grenades do too, giving me those legendary Terminator 2 vibes. I will go into more detail on this weapon in another video, but it has been confirmed to spawn in military locations for now. Strangely enough, the new plastic explosive spawns in industrial locations, which is exactly where the detonator for this spawns too. So is this military grade C4 still? Can we call it C4? Because it looks like its purpose in the world of DayZ is for industrial purposes. Let me know in the comments, I have no idea when it comes to this stuff. Regardless, the plastic explosive requires a detonator unit to activate, which can only be activated when it's placed on the floor. Once activated, you will get a detonator trigger, and then you can trigger it from anywhere. I don't know the exact range on this yet, I will do this in another video, and the explosive cannot be moved at all once it's been placed on the floor unless you disarm it. Disarming it with a detonator will give you the receiver and the trigger back, creating the detonator unit that you started with, and a detonator unit is what's required. You can't have a receiver and craft it, and you can't have just a trigger and craft it. You need the detonator unit. However, if you disarm it with a knife, it will ruin the receiver, meaning that you'll need a whole new unit to activate this explosive again. The screwdriver, lockpick, and pliers also disarm this plastic explosive, but be aware that a lot of other sharp objects cannot, like axes, spears, or crafted knives. You can also disarm this device by ruining it, but obviously the plastic explosive will be lost in the process if you ruined it. So no, you cannot shoot this explosive to detonate it like grenades. If detonated, it will wreck anybody within 17 meters of it, but explosives are very weak at penetrating surfaces, so most forms of cover will absorb this blast. What won't absorb this blast, however, is a epoxy wooden wall in DayZ, getting demolished in just one tap of this trigger. Which begs the question, is it time for a buff to bases with this type of utter destruction in the game? The Claymore mine also requires a detonator trigger to activate, and works like the plastic explosive in that you need to place it on the ground, and when it is on the ground you can no longer pick it up. The difference between the Claymore and the plastic explosive is that the Claymore comes with a kit, so that when you place it on the floor you will automatically get a trigger placed into your hands. The Claymore mine doesn't work like it does in the movies. I didn't know this either, where it detonates if you step on it or if you get close to it. It doesn't work like that in DayZ, and I don't believe it will in the future either, but who knows, maybe we will get laser sensors to trigger this in the future. Once placed on the floor, it can be disarmed much like the plastic explosive, so using any detonator, it doesn't matter where you get the detonator from, it will turn the Claymore back into a Claymore kit that it spawns as, which FYI spawns in military locations much like the grenade launcher. Now if you use a screwdriver, knife, lockpick or pliers to disarm the Claymore, the entire Claymore becomes ruined, unlike plastic explosives where only the receiver is ruined. If ruined by damage, however, the Claymore will explode, which has the largest kill radius of any explosive in DayZ, 25 meters of pure death and destruction. Now if it's a Claymore kit, it can be placed in fireplaces or on the ground, and when it's destroyed, it can kill every living microorganism within 25 meters. But if you place it on the floor, it will only damage stuff in the cone in front of it. That's if you place it correctly on the floor. This cone looks to be around 90 degrees in total, but like shooting it, it will kill stuff up to around 25 meters. So if you're anywhere inside this area, you are safe from the floor-mounted Claymore. What aren't safe though are bases. However, while the Claymore kills at the furthest distance in DayZ, it isn't as powerful as plastic explosives, taking 3 Claymores to breach a wall in DayZ. The damage of the Claymore also seems inconsistent. Sometimes it destroys the top panel, sometimes the bottom one, sometimes it takes 4 Claymores to destroy a wall, so it's a bit of a strange explosive at the moment. What makes a Claymore so damn awesome compared to plastic explosives though is that you can chain them together to create a super mega ultra explosive to destroy any base wall, wood or metal. This thing's going down. And it doesn't require a trigger like plastic explosives. You can destroy the last Claymore and all of them will go up. When raiding bases with these, I've found that if you set up the Claymore correctly on the floor, so it's a floor mounted Claymore, it does a lot more damage than just shooting the kit next to the wall, so use Claymores that are on the floor. Surprisingly, fireworks do damage if you're within 2 meters of them when they're going off. It's only 2 health damage per firework, but still, it can kill you. Sadly, however, the fireworks launcher cannot be lit near base walls or inside any building or under any canopy-like structure, which means you cannot do damage to bases with the fireworks launcher, unfortunately, but it's certainly still a great item. For example, when lit, fireworks launchers will fire rockets every 5 seconds and last 1 minute. The light from these explosions can be seen up to the maximum viewing distance in DayZ, which is around 1,100 meters, but the sound will only travel up to 700 meters. I believe this will be mostly used for infected to distract them, and you can distract pretty much a whole town here because you can lure infected up to around 300 meters, or at least get them alerted so that they start traveling towards the fireworks launcher. They get so distracted in fact by the pretty colors that you can walk right up to them until you can't very much anymore. Finally, for the fireworks launcher, it will spawn in lunar parks, which are the fairground areas around the map. Now if you want to learn more about the other stuff in this patch, and it's an awesome patch, check out my previous video covering the basics of DayZ 1.18. And while I was going to include IEDs in this video, they're not really an explosive, they're more of an attachment for explosives, so it's a whole nother rabbit hole. I'll cover that in my next video though. If you got learnt or you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like as it helps a lot, and don't forget to have your say in the comments, as I'm sure the devs are looking for feedback on such game-changing items being added to the game. Also finally, I'm currently taking questions for IEDs, so if you have a question related to IEDs, you know what to do. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.